You're in a committed relationship, but somewhere in the background, there's a safety net. A text thread you haven't quite closed, a harmless flirtation at work, or perhaps someone you keep in touch with, just in case. This modern dating phenomenon is called cushioning. It's when people keep a few romantic options on the back burner while still in a relationship. And while it might sound strategic, Stoicism would call it something else: weakness. At its core, Stoicism is about living with integrity, focusing on what you can control and aligning your actions with your values. Cushioning, on the other hand, thrives on fear and uncertainty. The fear of loss, the fear of being alone, and the need for constant validation. Let's break it down. Why do people cushion? It's a way to soften the blow of a potential breakup, a way to maintain control in a situation that feels uncontrollable. But Stoics would argue that by cushioning, you're not protecting yourself. You're trapping yourself in a cycle of dependence on external validation. Here's why cushioning contradicts Stoicism. Lack of integrity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." By cushioning, you're engaging in deceit, not just towards your partner, but towards yourself. You're pretending to be fully committed while keeping an exit strategy in your back pocket. Fear of loss. Stoicism teaches us to embrace impermanence. Epictetus reminded us, "You may leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. Instead of preparing for loss by keeping backups, a Stoic would prepare by accepting that loss is inevitable and learning to stand strong on their own. Dependence on others. Cushioning shows a reliance on others for emotional stability. A true Stoic seeks inner fortitude, not a rotating cast of potential partners to fill emotional gaps. The illusion of control. Cushioning gives the illusion of control, a safety net for what feels unpredictable. But Stoicism reminds us that control is a myth when it comes to external circumstances. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By keeping romantic backups, you're trying to control outcomes that are inherently uncertain. A Stoic accepts this uncertainty and focuses on controlling their own reactions, rather than manipulating the environment to feel secure. The erosion of trust. Trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. When you engage in cushioning, you're not just betraying your partner's trust, you're eroding your own ability to trust fully. How can you ever experience true connection if one foot is always out the door? Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you value honesty and loyalty, you must embody those qualities without compromise." Building true resilience. Resilience isn't built by keeping escape routes. It's forged through confronting life's challenges head-on. Cushioning weakens your ability to face hardship because it encourages you to avoid discomfort. A Stoic thrives in adversity, knowing that every trial is an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." If a breakup comes, let it test you, let it shape you, and let it teach you to stand strong without the crutch of "what if?" Why cushioning reflects a lack of self-knowledge. Cushioning isn't just about keeping a backup. It's about avoiding a confrontation with yourself. It's easier to maintain superficial connections than to face the unsettling question, who am I when no one else is around? This avoidance creates a fragile sense of self. You might mistake the attention from others for self-worth or believe that having options equals security. But Stoicism teaches us that true security comes from understanding and mastering your own mind. Self-knowledge isn't built in the noise of multiple connections. It's cultivated in solitude. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." By cushioning, you're distracting yourself from this retreat, from the quiet space where true growth occurs. Imagine if, instead of cushioning, you use the time and energy to examine your own fears. What about being alone frightens you? Why do you seek external validation to feel whole? And how can you become the kind of person who stands complete, even when life strips away the comforts of relationships? The answers to these questions don't come from backup plans. They come from looking inward and embracing the discomfort of uncertainty. As Stoicism reminds us, adversity is not something to avoid. It's a forge for character. Every time you resist the urge to cushion, you take a step closer to understanding and mastering your inner self. Through self-knowledge, you gain a clarity that no amount of external reassurance can provide. You begin to see that your worth isn't tied to who's waiting in the wings, but to the strength you've built within. And that's the freedom Stoics strive for. The ability to face life, not with a safety net, but with unshakable self-trust. Cushioning as a sign of emotional instability. Cushioning isn't just about keeping romantic backups. It's a sign of emotional instability. Why? Because at its core, cushioning reveals an inability to sit with uncertainty, discomfort, and emotional vulnerability. Stoics like Seneca emphasize that emotional stability comes from within, not from external reassurances. He wrote, "He who is brave is free," but when you cushion, you're tying your sense of security to the presence of others. This dependency creates a cycle of instability. One backup isn't enough, so you keep seeking more, only to feel less secure in the end. Emotional stability, according to Stoicism, requires self-mastery. Instead of clinging to external sources of validation, a Stoic learns to face their fears head-on. The fear of being alone? That's an opportunity for growth. The discomfort of uncertainty? That's where resilience is built. When you cushion, you're avoiding these challenges. You're numbing yourself to discomfort rather than embracing it as a teacher. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By cushioning, you lose the chance to build that strength. You allow fear to control your actions, undermining your emotional stability and your ability to live virtuously. Breaking free from cushioning isn't just about integrity. It's about reclaiming your emotional independence. When you rely on your own inner strength, you no longer need safety nets. You become unshakable, ready to face life with clarity and courage. The cost of distracting yourself from real issues. When you cushion, you're not just protecting yourself from potential heartbreak. You're also avoiding the deeper, more uncomfortable issues in the relationship. Instead of confronting the real problems head-on, you distract yourself by keeping backup options open. This may seem like a safe route, but it only delays the inevitable, and it prevents growth. Relationships, like life itself, come with challenges. But when you cushion, you create a barrier between yourself and those challenges. Instead of addressing the tension, the hurt, or the miscommunication with your partner, you retreat into the comfort of distraction. You check in with backup options, send a flirtatious text, or seek reassurance elsewhere. All of this keeps you from confronting the discomfort of truly engaging with the relationship's issues. Stoicism teaches us that avoiding discomfort only weakens us. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges we face in relationships, whether they're conflicts, misunderstandings, or fears, are not something to escape. They're opportunities to grow, to become better at understanding ourselves and others. Instead of cushioning, a Stoic would face the issues directly. They would sit down with their partner and have that difficult conversation. They would address their concerns and their own discomfort, knowing that doing so is the path to emotional maturity and stronger connections. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When we confront relationship issues, we choose growth over avoidance." Cushioning, however, only provides temporary relief. It's a distraction that prevents progress. By not addressing the real issues, you're allowing resentment to build, misunderstandings to grow, and emotional distance to widen. The longer you avoid facing the truth, the harder it becomes to rebuild trust and intimacy. Instead, a Stoic would lean into the discomfort, knowing that every challenge overcome brings us closer to wisdom. By distracting ourselves with backups, we deny ourselves the opportunity to evolve and strengthen our relationships. The real cost of cushioning isn't just emotional. It's the missed opportunity to become the best version of ourselves, both as individuals and partners. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to meet challenges with courage, to address the uncomfortable, and to grow through adversity. So the next time you feel the urge to cushion, ask yourself, am I avoiding something that needs to be addressed? If so, face it with courage. The path to deeper intimacy and true emotional strength lies in confronting, and not avoiding, the real issues that come your way. The impact of cushioning on true intimacy. True emotional intimacy is built on trust, vulnerability, and a willingness to be fully present with one another. But when you're cushioning, keeping romantic backups, you unknowingly create walls between yourself and your partner. Instead of sharing your true self, you're hiding behind the idea of an escape route. When you keep backups in place, you're never fully invested in the relationship at hand. This constant exit strategy prevents you from being vulnerable. Instead of opening up about your fears, insecurities, and desires, you're keeping a part of yourself reserved, just in case. And this emotional distance doesn't go unnoticed. Your partner can feel it. Stoicism teaches us that true connection can only happen when both people are fully present and committed. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one when we allow ourselves to be fully vulnerable. Without the fear of having an out, we unlock the possibility for real intimacy. Authentic relationships aren't built on the fear of loss. They're grounded in the courage to love without conditions. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When you cushion, you're not only holding on to a false sense of security, you're avoiding the discomfort of truly loving someone without reservations. True intimacy requires emotional honesty. It's about showing up in the present without hedging your bets. When you let go of the backup plan, you create space for a deeper, more fulfilling connection. You give your partner the gift of your undivided attention and trust, knowing that love isn't something you can control with safety nets. It's something you experience fully when you embrace vulnerability. So the next time you're tempted to cushion, ask yourself, am I giving my partner the real me, or am I holding back because I'm afraid of what might happen? Remember, Stoicism teaches us that true freedom and intimacy come from vulnerability, not from protecting ourselves with distractions. So what's the alternative? A Stoic would advocate for radical honesty and self-reliance. If your relationship is causing you to doubt, confront the doubt. Speak openly with your partner. And if the relationship ends, face the pain without leaning on a network of half-formed connections. True resilience comes from within, not from the comfort of knowing there's someone waiting in the wings. Cushioning might seem harmless or even practical, but in reality, it undermines both your integrity and your strength. A Stoic doesn't keep backups. They face life head-on with honesty and courage. So the next time you're tempted to cushion, ask yourself, am I acting from a place of fear or a place of virtue? And remember, living a life of principle isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Thanks for watching. If you found this insightful, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Stoic wisdom in our upcoming videos.